Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be answering and responding to questions on past videos and on my community page on Facebook, and we're going to have a bit more of an in-depth continuation of the conversation on trusting influence fragrance reviewers or influencers who review fragrances on the tubes of you and YouTube. If you'd like to continue this conversation or just have kind of like a chit-chatty conversation on fragrances, there we go, then make sure to continue watching. Yeah, first things first. Hi, my name is Kristin. I run this channel called Beauty Meow. It's a primarily fragrance-related channel where I talk about fragrance-related reviews, discussions, recommendations, and the like. So if you enjoy that type of content, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the little bell so you can be notified when I have new videos. Also, please, if you are so inclined, hitting that little like button is great. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and I really appreciate the support. Now, I'm going to be mincing my words. I've had a hard time creating sentences. My doctors say it has something to do with the accident, like a brain injury. That's kind of been super fun. I also live on caffeine. This is only my third cup of coffee, so please excuse me if I mumble my words more than I normally do. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a longer video, this will be a long video, is because I want to answer and talk and respond to a lot of comments I've gotten over the past few weeks, which have been wonderful. I also wanted to continue the influencer conversation in regards to trusting fragrance influencers. And I mostly want to do that because I think I didn't make my point very good in that video. And a lot of people had, not a lot of people, but people had some fantastic support. Some people thought it was lazy. And I think all those legitimate critiques, positive and negative, are, like I said previously, legitimate. So I want to continue the conversation, kind of make my point, and then continue it with, I think, how people wanted the conversation to go, which is talking more about transparency and conflicts of interest. I'm going to be referencing a variety of different videos in this video, so I will have all of those linked below. First things, let's just set up the stage for the influencer talk. It's going to be the first half of the video. The other half will be responding to other comments from other videos not related to this. The point I was trying to make in that video was specifically trusting somebody, even if you like them, even if you find them trustworthy, to make purchases and decisions based on very personal, subjective tastes. And I know I said that wrong. I likened it to you have this best friend. This person is like your ride or die. You take a bullet for them, they take a bullet for you. You trust them with your life, legitimately. But they have different tastes, and I've likened it to food, like salty foods or chocolate. They love chocolate, you hate chocolate. And so they come to you and they say, this dessert is amazing. I love it. It's the best thing I've ever eaten. It's just so good. And you look and it's chocolate dessert, a primarily just chocolate dessert. And you know that this person is coming at you with sincerity, with honesty, with genuine enthusiasm. But you know, I don't like chocolate, so I'm not going to buy that dessert because it would be a waste of my money. I wouldn't enjoy it. That's kind of what I was talking about in that video. And it was a very unfaultable, obvious, as one of you guys put, point to make. But I'm going to speak from my experience. I tend to, specifically with, let's talk about one thing that I own way too many of, foundations. I own way too many foundations. There's a few beauty influencers on the internet, specifically YouTubes, that I think are fantastic. I'll use Tati for an example. A lot of people love Tati, some people don't like Tati. I think she's fantastic, and I think she is a wealth of knowledge, and I love her beauty reviews. And there was a foundation that I own 70 foundations. Just let that sink in. I'm not making that number up. I own way too many foundations, about 70. So I buy a lot of foundations. I also buy a lot of setting powders and primers. I like base makeup for some reason. So there was this foundation called the Wet n Wild, and I do like Wet n Wild products, but not their photo finish foundation. And everyone was raving about it, and Tati's like, I love it. And I was like, I'm gonna go buy it. It was only $6. I usually, because my skin is sensitive and weird, I usually with any foundation will kind of do a little patch test off to the side to see if my skin reacts to it, because sometimes I'll get a breakout, sometimes I'll get a rash. It's just how my skin is. And I didn't do it because I was like, everyone loves it, and I just put it on. I have scars on my face from deep blemishes and acne that developed from this foundation. And I have, that was money wasted. My face is scarred. I got one here, a few here, one here. Yeah, it's just, it was bad. So I don't think Tatsi was lying. I think she's trustworthy when it comes down to beauty reviews. But I made a purchase based off of somebody's recommendation that I generally trust, and I kind of looked past what I normally do when it comes down to trying things in makeup, and I paid the price for it. It doesn't mean that, I didn't chuck that thing in the garbage, but that's kind of like what I'm talking about with that video is I'm talking to people like me, that sometimes get excited when they hear about something new. And maybe they don't blind buy, but maybe they'll blind buy this because everyone's talking about it and they love it. And they realize that, well, I just don't really like that note, or I really just don't like this composition. And then you're stuck with something. And that's who that video was aimed for. However, I didn't make that point very well. It wasn't a very strong argument because it is a very easy argument to make. Only trust yourself. But I did want to expand on it because I did mention also that YouTubers seem to be the people that are, and rightfully held accountable for doing a lot of free bottle reviews. When free bottles and gratis are everywhere in any community, not free bottles, but free stuff is in any community. And because I made that argument, I feel like I tainted the study. I kind of took the conversation and I watered it down, or I made it go a different way, and that's my fault. But I also know a lot of you guys want to know about transparency or want to see YouTube content creators or YouTube influencers hold themselves accountable and talk about this and not skirt it and not delete comments and not try and hide the apparent conflict of interest in a lot of situations. And that's where I'm going to take this part of the conversation. Now, I have done videos talking about how free bottles work. And as I continue this part of the conversation, do understand that I'm only going to be using myself as an example. I don't know other people's business ties. I don't know other people's relationships, but I'm going to talk and not defend. I'm not defending things, but I'm going to use myself as an example and explain how things come up and how I do things on my channel. And that might help you guys decide to not trust or trust more or keep the same opinion. It really is up to you. But because a lot of people wanted this part of the conversation to be a part of that video, I am going to make it a part of this conversation. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee and then we're going to chat. And I'm also going to be talking about this by summing up a lot of what was in that video. I read all the comments. Initially, I was going to break it down and respond to each comment individually, but that video got way too long, way too convoluted, and because my brain doesn't know how to form words right now, I'm going to do it this way. I think it'll be a lot easier for me to make my point more clear. All right, coffee time and then talkie time. I think the first general consensus is to once again reiterate the point that free stuff is everywhere. And the point that I think kind of tainted that conversation was saying that I feel that YouTubers within the fragrance community are told that we are shills because we review free things, when free things are everywhere. And I think personally, the difference with, let's say we're gonna talk about salespeople. So you have a sales associate at a fragrance counter and you have a YouTuber. I think this will be the easiest way without going too much into like blogs and Facebook groups and things like that. I think this will be the best way for me to make this comparison and kind of defend and also not defend fragrance YouTubers. Now, I think the biggest issue with transparency is that there is a balance of power, an understanding of what the expectation is when you are talking or interacting with somebody. And interacting could be just watching something, you know, or engaging in comments and commentary. So when somebody comes to a YouTube channel, I think some of you guys watch for entertainment. I think most of you guys watch for entertainment. I think some of you guys watch YouTube for white noise. I do that. If I'm sleeping by myself at night because somebody's out of town, I'm putting on random YouTube and that is my white noise. And that's fine. And so some people like the white noise of hearing about fragrances. Some people come to YouTube to learn about new fragrances, maybe not talked about scents. Maybe somebody likes the look of someone's face and they say, that's a pretty lady. I like the way she looks, and that's the type of woman I'm trying to woo. So her recommendations I'm going to take with more weight, because if this pretty lady says this fragrance catches her attention, that's the type of woman I'm going to try to attract, so that's the type of fragrance I'm going to wear. There's a variety of different reasons you can come to YouTube. But what most people understand about YouTube is that for some people there's ads, and I know my ads, I need to get better at my ads. I understand that they're kind of crazy. I have YouTube Premium, so I don't see ads, so I don't not understand, but I need to, off topic, I need to work on my ads. But you understand that with some videos there's going to be ads, so you're like, okay, that's the transaction. I'm watching this content, I'm sitting through this ad, or I have an ad blocker, and that's the transparency, that's the interaction, that's the expectation. Watch YouTube video, get entertainment, watch ad. But you're also going to be sitting through ads, and that could be free bottles, sponsorships, boxes of dried roses that somebody talks about every, few months. It's part of the content we're giving you is not just fragrance, it's also marketing. It's also being an ad, sponsored content, affiliate codes. And that kind of interaction can feel very disingenuous, very shilly, very freebie greedy. Like, I want to just review free things because I get stuff for free. And the problem is that for YouTubers is that we put a lot of time and effort and money into our channel. Right now, I don't have the highest production at all in regards to my channel, but I'm looking not at my iPad, but everything else around me, thousands of dollars in regards, and I'm spending even more to upgrade this space as a YouTuber, as a hobby. So we do like to get a little return on our investment, but that doesn't mean that we have the right to treat the people who watch our channel like customers, because you're not customers, and that's what we have to remember. So when you go into a fragrance counter, when you walk up, when you go into store, you see somebody working there behind the counter, or maybe they're in front of the counter and they're holding like a bottle of perfume. You go up to them and you say hi, or they come up to you and they say, hi, try this. You already know where you stand and where they stand in regards to this interaction. You are customer, they are client. No, they are seller. There we go. Employee. And so you understand the power in that relationship. And I have no problem with salespeople selling me things, as long as I know that they're selling me things, as long as I know that that's what they're doing. And I have had some fantastic conversations, friendships, real friendships from sales associates, because I know that they're selling me something, but they have a genuine passion. Just because they're getting a paycheck doesn't mean they don't have a passion and a knowledge and a love for what they're selling. But I know that, yes, you're going to try and sell me something. That is your job. And so when people go to sales counters, they understand, they know this person's trying to sell me something. That's their job. And then you as the customer can say, yes, let's talk, let's interact, show me what you'd like to recommend. Or you can say, no, thank you. I'm looking. If I need help, I will ask you, but I prefer to look and try things on my own. You have the power to tell that person, and rightfully so, please help me, or please give me space. I don't want to be sold anything right now. With YouTube, you can't do that. You can stop watching something, but what if that's the only review on that fragrance? And you might like that fragrance reviewer, but you don't want the sales pitch. Even if something is given for free and that person is being completely honest and transparent, you just don't like the idea of somebody trying to sell you something. You would prefer to discover it on your own, or discover it through somebody who purchased it or came across it organically. Like, some people do not like the idea of being sold. And I think that's where transparency is so important. I was going to say expensive. So important with YouTube fragrance reviewers, because it's letting you guys know this was given for free. It's establishing what this interaction is going to be. So I'm just going to hold up something that I have sitting next to me. Actually, I have 2 bottles. So say I got this for free. I didn't. And then I paid for this. I did. I paid for both of these. So I have 2 reviews up. And these are 2 fragrances that you guys really want to know about. And I'm the only one that has reviews up. That's not the case, but I'm just letting you guys know. I talk about how much I love this one, how amazing it is, how gorgeous it is. And it is, just generally. And then I never tell you that I got it for free. But in the bottom, in my description, I say, I got this for free to review. And then you just sat through an entire video of a fragrance reviewer who you thought paid for this, loved it, was excited for it, and then you realized it was given for free. Even if I was completely honest, even though I completely love this, and sales associates can completely love the fragrances that they sell, there's still that interaction of, there was money that changed hands in regards to me creating this content for you and me getting this bottle. And that's where a lot of people don't like free bottles within the YouTube space, because they are already being forced to sit through ads, and sometimes a lot of ads at that. So that interaction of money changing hands, like us getting something for you guys watching us, has already happened. So now it's like double, like you're paying twice. So you're not only watching a video of someone who got something for free, but you're also sitting through ads in that video too. And that can create a very uneven power dynamic, because when you walk up to a sales counter, you know how it's going to go, and both of you guys have something to give. You have money to give, and they have knowledge and experience, and maybe can steer you in the right direction. But when you're sitting through a YouTube review, sometimes it's hard to understand where it's coming from, and that's why it's so important to be honest and upfront, especially vocally. I think you don't have to be vocal, but you have to be transparent to where somebody can understand that this is not something that you paid for, you got it for free. So that way they can decide if they are comfortable with that power dynamic. And I feel like YouTube is kind of, because there's so many reviewers and there's a lot of gratis that is finally being put into the YouTube fragrance community, because free bottles are everywhere. Like I said before, sales associates get them, people that run fragrance groups on Facebook get it, people who are popular reviewers that have their own blogs or review on websites like Fragrantica and Base Notes. Free bottles are everywhere. But the dynamic of YouTube, and I think where a lot of people get very upset with YouTubers getting free things, is people already have to sit through ads. And so it's like, okay, I'm sitting through an ad to watch this fragrance review, and I have to sit through another ad because you're talking about dried roses, you're talking about pillowcases, you're talking about this, and then I also have to sit through another ad because that video is also something that you got for free. Oh, and look, an affiliate link. So there's so many different ways that we're gaining and you're losing. Even if you like the content, even if you trust the reviewer, it can create an improper power imbalance. And I'm not talking about me having power over you or you having power over me, but I think that with YouTube, it comes down to, engagement, relatability, like talking about things that we love. And if it just seems like an ad, money, 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 affiliate code, affiliate code, affiliate code, it ruins and cheapens the experience. And I think that's why transparency is so important, because it establishes this is the type of video this is going to be. I'm putting all of my cards on the table. Would you like to play? And by playing is you guys watching the video. And I think that there's nothing wrong with taking free bottles. There's nothing wrong with having affiliate links. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be pro and be profitable with your channel. But you can't do it in a way that you're hiding everything. You have to be open and upfront, because I don't think people have an issue with you getting free things. You know, I know, again, if I go to a sales counter, that sales associate is being paid to talk to me about fragrance. And just because they're being paid to talk to me about fragrance doesn't mean that they have an enthusiasm, a passion, and a knowledge about scent. But I know that they're being paid, so I know what to expect in regards to that interaction. And that's what I think YouTubers need to do more of in regards to transparency. There's nothing wrong with getting a free bottle. It's everywhere in the industry. But I fear that YouTubers, and not just fragrance YouTubers, a lot of different people don't disclose when something was sponsored. So sponsored isn't a free bottle. Sponsored is free bottle and paying you for the review. Free bottles, which, you know, here, give you this free bottle in exchange for review. I do a whole video talking about this. Or just paying for it yourself. And sometimes companies will send gifts. Sometimes companies will be like, Merry Christmas. Here is a bottle. Hey, we have this new release. We're just sending it to you. It'll just show up on your door. And that's very lovely, but those are gifts and not sent to review. So then there's also that dynamic of it. And I think if YouTubers want to be taken more seriously within the world of fragrance and not just be kind of entertainment white noise for fragrance lovers in a lot of cases, we need to start taking ourselves more seriously. And I am not a pro YouTuber. I am not going to make YouTube a career. I don't have the numbers for it. I don't have the growth for it. And I'll be perfectly honest, that's okay. Do I want to make fragrance a career for me? Yes, I do. And there are different ways I can do that without being YouTube. YouTube for me as a content creator is a hobby. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to take it seriously. And I think taking it seriously is understanding where you're coming from in regards to sharing content. So I don't think that, I know that I'm being honest when I review a fragrance, whether I purchased it or gave it for free. But that doesn't mean that you guys know that. And so for me to kind of show you guys who I am as a person and a reviewer, transparency is also super important, because it's the times where you have more to lose when you show your true colors. So if I review a fragrance and I don't tell you it was given to me for free, and then you find out, I've already lost points. But if I say, hey, I got this for free, here's a review, then you guys are like, yeah, she always just keeps telling us and we're tired of it. You have to earn respect in this community. We are not owed respect. We are not entitled to views. We are not entitled to free stuff. We're not entitled to AdSense money. We're not entitled to subscribers, engagement, entitled. Did I say entitled? Again, guys. We are not entitled to any of that stuff. And the fact that we get it is luck, a blessing, definitely a perk. But that means that we have to earn it. And that means that we have to be honest, upfront, and transparent. Free bottles are part of the industry, just like gratis is part of the industry with beauty, with fragrances and foundations and all this stuff. As long as people are being upfront with transparency, that's the most important thing. And then that lets you guys know who are watching, I trust them, I don't trust them. All they do is free bottles. I don't like that. I can just go to a sales counter and browse on my own. I feel that's where the free bottles kind of dilute and cheapen the experience on YouTube. It's not the fact that there's free bottles. It's the fact that people aren't disclosing, and legally you're supposed to disclose, but also more importantly, it doesn't discredit the reviewer. I think it shows more credit to their character when they're telling you, hey, look at this, I got this for free. I'm gonna talk about it with you guys. Then you guys know this video is this. It's a pitch, it's an ad, it's a conversation between somebody who loves something, but money changed hands or a free bottle changed hands. So just like you walking into a fragrance counter and knowing that that person standing there is being paid. So here's another example. And this is what I think in regards to people not disclosing when they get free stuff. And this is in every community: skincare, tech, gaming, mommy blogs, fragrance. It's everywhere. And you know, people work really hard to build up their channels, build up their credibility, but they also want the benefits of free stuff and AdSense. And again, when you develop a channel, when you spend a lot of money and time on a channel, you would like a little bit of a return on investment. If that is something that's important to you. Again, you're not going to break the bank making YouTubes. You're not. So say you walk into a fragrance store. So Neiman Marcus, say you walk into the fragrance counter at Neiman Marcus. And normally everyone there is dressed in suits or dressed like business, not business casual, but a little bit more business attire, you know, suits, very nice dresses, very groomed and well kept. And then you see somebody there in jeans, you know, and maybe like a polo shirt, sniffing fragrances on the other side of the counter. And you look at them and you're sniffing fragrances and you guys start talking and they're like, oh, this fragrance is amazing. Oh, smell it, it's so good. And you're like, yeah, I love it. And then like, oh man, I should get this. And then you look for somebody at the fragrance counter and then that person in jeans and a t-shirt or polo walks around and takes the fragrance and says, okay, I'll ring you up for this. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about free fragrances and the power dynamic. That conversation seems like you're talking to a customer, like you're having this organic conversation with somebody who is in no way affiliated with the fragrance counter, and they sold you something and then they walk around the counter and they ring you up for it. That is what I mean when I say power dynamic and not understanding where free bottles come from. So, or not understanding where free bottles are, where sponsors are, and things like that. That's the power dynamic. That makes that entire experience just shady, shilly, deceitful. And the thing is you might have bought that fragrance if they were on the other side of the counter anyway, because if you liked it enough, if you trusted yourself enough to smell it and go, yes, this is what I want, this price is appropriate for this fragrance, ring me up. It wouldn't matter if there was a sales associate or not a sales associate, you probably would have purchased that. But now your experience is tainted because that person deceived you. And that's what I think YouTube fragrance reviewers, or just anybody in general, tech, gaming, makeup, skincare, like that's what we're talking about when we're talking about deceitful, is there's no need. Everyone is aware that there's gratis. Everyone is aware that there's free stuff. So there's no reason to hide it. It doesn't make you less of a reviewer. It doesn't make you less passionate. It doesn't make you less knowledgeable. It just shows that this is where I am and this is what to expect with this review. And if people like you and if people trust you, most people, not all, won't care, but you have to be honest and forthcoming. So that's the transparency argument as I talk for like half an hour. Like I said, this is gonna be a very long video. And I think this type of community, beauty, is not the it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission kind of thing. This is more of an ask permission. And not asking permission, but everyone is so much less riled up, less offended, less hurt, less betrayed, less angry when they know initially what's going on. And there's nothing wrong with having these interactions. There's nothing wrong with having these relationships with businesses, with owners of houses, with noses, with distributors. Nothing wrong with that. It is wrong when you lie about it and hide it. So again, just because I say this doesn't mean that it's true. And just because I think this doesn't mean it's the right way to think. But it is an important conversation to have, and it is a tough conversation to have. And there are reviewers out there, there are people out there that'll look down on me and be like, she's jealous. Why would she talk about this? It's none of her business. And to some degree, I'm not jealous of numbers. I'm not jealous of free stuff. I get jealous when I see other people get more engagement, more conversations. And then they don't even like talk back or comment back. That's what I want the engagement. I want to talk to you guys. And conversation and communication doesn't mean that you guys are always telling me that I'm right. A lot of times it's putting me in my place and holding me accountable. I get more jealous of that than anything else. But I do think it is our responsibility, because you guys are watching ads for us and we are getting free things to you, to be honest, transparent with free stuff, sponsorships, affiliates, conflicts of interest. Like, that needs to be brought up front initially and joyously and excitedly. Hello, hi, here's this free stuff. Because I feel that there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when people are hiding it or not disclosing. Because then that again creates that kind of like deceitful, kind of like bad taste in your mouth. So that is kind of going into the other part of that video. And again, like I said, this is going to be a very long video. So if you sat through, that's just me TLDRing the last video where I thought you guys wanted me to go. So now I'm going into my channel. I'm going into my community page. I don't know why I usually just screenshot it, but I didn't. So going into my phone. And now I'm going to be there's like 2 or 3 questions. A lot of these, there was like 5 of you guys, so thank you. A few of you guys, I summed up pretty well. And I want to kind of answer 1 or 2 questions, and then we're going to go into answering comments on other videos. This comment is from Mary Sesher, and if I mispronounced your username, I'm very sorry. I'm not very good at pronunciation, as you guys are well aware at this point. Their comment is, last year I was more reliant on reviews because lockdown meant I was blind buying or just getting samples, and you can't get samples for everything. Sometimes you're drawn to someone's personality as well as their love for fragrances, but in truth, it does start to become clear when someone is basically putting a friendly face to marketing campaigns. Live and let live. When I get that vibe, I just move on. And I think that's, very true. I think when it comes down to the balance of, like, is somebody basically a paid face for fragrances or beauty or anything, but we're going to say fragrances because I'm a fragrance reviewer and this is a fragrance related conversation. I think that people know, and again, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but also there's nothing wrong with you guys being like, I don't want that. So it's like going to a fragrance counter and having a sales associate come up to you and you being like, no thank you. So some people like being sold because they like hearing about new things. They trust the person. They understand that this person is getting paid to bring something to them, but maybe they like the sound of the notes or the nose or the house. And some people are like, that's not what I'm into. And that's totally acceptable. And that's why it's so important to be honest and upfront, because scare everybody away. In fact, you might gain that appreciation from people who are like, I like the honesty and the transparency. But it's the kind of deceitfulness that's the problem. 79, and if I mispronounced again, I'm very sorry. Their comment is, there are some fragrance lovers who truly love fragrance, who make authentic videos, which I trust. But there are also YouTubers that are just collecting freebies and doing marketing for some brands. There is a fine line between selling out and authenticity. I do wonder about honesty. For instance, I've seen a couple of reviews about Santal Complete, which supposedly has longevity, but on Fragrantica, a common complaint is about the longevity. Yes, so there is a difference between being a shill and being an authentic person who is excited to share you something, but there is a transaction. And again, that's going back to the sales associate analogy. You walk up into a perfume counter, that sales associate probably loves fragrance. That's why they're there. They probably have a real knowledge about scent and a genuine enthusiasm and passion. And you know that the conversation is, salesperson, customer. And that doesn't mean that you can't have a meaningful, interesting, and fantastic conversation about fragrance and leave purchasing something because somebody who genuinely had a passion and knowledge steered you in the right direction after having a genuine conversation. But you understand that this is a sales associate. And then again, the kind of like the dishonesty and the deceitfulness, again, if that sales associate was not dressed like how sales associates should be dressed, and they're on the other side of the counter and they're pretending to be a customer, and then they ring you up after they sell it to you. That to me is the difference between somebody kind of being a shill, somebody being deceitful, and then like a genuine interaction, you know, but there's free money changing hands and free stuff, you know, that's kind of like what I mean. That's it, guys. That's that portion. I know I only answered like 1 or 2 questions, but I think after going through everything else was kind of answered in that video. So now I'm going to go into the part where I'm answering some questions. I'm not going to be answering too many because I think we're at this point in the video, I'm at like an hour and a half filming. And I always cut these videos down and they're so much fun to edit, let me tell you. But I do want to answer a few other questions that are more than just the influencer conversation. If you want to have a continuation of this conversation, if you have any additional questions, comments, or critique, please let me know in the comment section below. And now we're going to go on to more comments. So this is from I Am the Walrus. This is from my favorite fragrances for July. And I do believe this is correct. And their comment was, last I checked, they discontinued Blue Sky Neroli. Clinique, I believe, discontinued Blue Sky Neroli. It's not on any sites. You can find them a few places. You can find them for like half the price. I think like Overstock had it. I could be wrong. And some are on Amazon. But if you guys are interested in Blue Sky Neroli from Clinique, that is apparently discontinued. I hate discontinuing fragrances. But yeah, so definitely it's a great fragrance to check out if you can get your hands on it. Beautiful scent. And I don't know why they discontinued it, because out of that entire lineup, it seemed like it was the most popular. So why Clinique did that, I don't know. That means maybe you'll be able to find it in gray markets in the next 6 to 8 months. So keep an eye out at your local TJ Maxx or Ross. This was on the last community post asking if you guys had any questions. And I'll respond to it because it's going to go back into the perks of a channel and things like that. Eclectic Jellyfish, love the name so much. Their comment is, I'm a little newer to the channel, so I'm not sure if you've already answered this, but I've seen you had a signed Maison Francis Kurkdjian bottle and was wondering if you've met him, and if so, how was it? I'm obsessed with MFK and I'm hoping he does a meet and greet one of these days. My favorite right now is a la Rose, so I'd want him to sign that one for me. Okay, so I did meet him. So I actually, when I shopped MFK like retail, and I still do, you know, paying full retail price, the sales associate I worked with, he was an MFK representative, but he sold everything. He was actually super excited for like Raja and Byredo, and I love him. He is a friend of mine. But over time, because I had purchased a lot, and I've talked about this in other videos, the perks of purchasing retail, the benefits, like the perks that you get from some of these big department stores. They want you as a client to come and spend more money, so they'll give you free massages, free facials, free events. I've been invited to all of them. The representative at the time for MFK, she frequented that store and she was a friend of mine. And over the course of purchasing things, we became friends. And she wasn't just with Neiman Marcus, she was with everywhere. So I purchased a bottle. She was going to be meeting him. And so she's like, let me take this bottle. Do you want it signed? I was like, yes, please. So she got him to sign it. And I thought that he had signed that bottle at the event, but I was wrong. But later on, like a few weeks later, she was talking about how in Miami, Francis Kurkdjian was opening a boutique. And in Miami, there's like standalone stores. There's a lot of money in this area in the design district. I think there was an Hermes store. There was like a 3-story Louis Vuitton. Like this is a very high-end area. So I was invited to the opening and it was very busy and something really silly happened. There wasn't supposed to be like a list to get in, but the owner noticed there was a lot of people. So she wrote down, or not the owner, the manager of the store wrote down everybody there. And I wasn't on the list, which is totally fine. And I'm sitting there and I'm getting texts from my friend and, you know, the rep being like, where are you, Kristin? And I'm like, dude, they're not letting me in. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they went out and they got me. And it was hilarious. And I'm like, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, why are you sorry? It's fine. Like, you know, like I'm just sitting out here. Like I'm not important. I was invited as a client, not like because I was a reviewer, and I wouldn't be invited as a reviewer anyway. I'm not one of those reviewers. But it was just kind of funny to me. So she was like, I'm sorry, let me get him. Let's introduce you. And I'm like, there was literally like you couldn't walk. There were so many people. I'm like, no, it's fine. So I was hanging out with my friend. I purchased a bottle of perfume. It was a really lovely evening, and I got to meet him, and I got to talk to him for a few minutes. I also got to talk to his business partner, and it was lovely, and I got a photo, but he actually seemed very shy. I don't know if he's shy. He just seemed very shy. And as somebody who is very shy, I can kind of realize that. I didn't get to talk to him as much as he liked, but he was very wonderful, very warm, very genuine. He just seemed like he wanted to just kind of mingle and not like talk, which I understand. But he was very, very nice and very polite and very lovely. And I think in a different capacity, when there wasn't like hundreds of people vying for his attention, I probably would have gotten to have more of a conversation with him. And I think anybody would have. You know, I'm not saying me particularly, I'm the one that he'd want to talk to. I'm just saying when you've got hundreds of people vying for your attention, you're a little distracted and you can't really focus on one person. You have to be kind of giving with all of your energy. And, you know, I understand not having the energy to give to everybody and to focus on one person. So I'm not saying that he was rude. He wasn't rude. He was actually very nice. But when you have like, again, probably like at least 50 people at a go, trying to get your attention, trying to talk to you, take photos. It's hard to have a conversation one-on-one with somebody, because the thing is like when she was like, hey, come over here and talk to, you know, this lady, she's a fan of yours and she's bought some of your stuff. He was talking to somebody already. So like in that way, he was like pulled away. And then when I was talking to him, he was pulled away. He was just pulled in a lot of different directions. However, he was lovely, very genuine, very wonderful to talk to in the brief time I got to talk to him. And I had a lovely evening. So I was invited to that as a client. I was not invited to that as a reviewer, but I was very excited to get to meet him. And yeah, he was lovely. And I hope, oh, and then something else. I actually got to sit in on a call where he was talking to people with Neiman Marcus. So I was invited to the call to kind of watch, not interact, but watch. And he was talking about fragrance and different projects he was working on, how he creates scent, how he tests fragrance. It was like an hour and a half long call, and that was really cool to be able to sit in on that too. And I could kind of see like he got really excited, and I think that's what makes me think that he was shy, is because when he was sitting there and he was talking, he was alive. He was like, let me talk to you about fragrance. I'm so excited. And he was just, and before, I think he was probably tired from the opening, a little bit overwhelmed. A lot of people were yelling at him, hey, let me tell you how great you are, because he is fantastic. He's an amazing nose, my favorite. And I think when he was like in his element and comfortable, he was able to completely like let go of the desire to please everybody and just share his passion and his experience. And that was really cool to be able to see him or to listen to him in those two situations. One where everybody was vying for his attention, and one where he was generally in control of the conversation and more in his comfort zone and his element. But he was genuine, he was nice, he was very warm, very, very lovely gentleman. Again, I just think that situation was just like when hundreds of people were screaming at you to get your attention, you get kind of overwhelmed. But it was lovely to get to meet him. I do have a photograph with him, and it was fun. So yeah, I did get to meet him. I do have a signed bottle, and I think he's great. I love him as a nose. He's my favorite nose. Comment, and I did respond to this, but I will kind of get into this a little bit too. This is from MA, and I know you love Amber Oud. This is on my most expensive fragrance video. I miss your vlogs doing reviews of Raja. It's been a while, so I thought you have forgotten the brand. Well, I mentioned to them, I did review 51 Parfum. And like I talked about in the video, that Raja is a house that I could buy every single one and feel really guilty about some of them because they're like $3,500. But some houses I prefer to add at a slower pace, and some houses I prefer to add at a quicker pace. And Raja is a house that I just have told myself, this is a house I'm going to add at a slower pace. Unless I find a really good deal on a scent, I'm probably going to add at a slower pace. That means that a lot of the fragrances that I have, I've probably already reviewed. But I haven't reviewed every single one of them, and I'm going to review others. But with expensive fragrances, and when I'm talking about expensive fragrances, I'm also talking about inaccessibly expensive fragrances. And my definition of inaccessibly expensive is over $300. That's a lot of money. I don't want to just review and add and get decants and samples, I want to like really wear it. So some of these scents I have worn for a few weeks, some of these scents I've worn for a few years. I also don't want my channel to be nothing but expensive fragrance reviews. And I like to have a little bit of everything. I like to have really affordable fragrances, really expensive fragrances, and I could just review Raja. I love Raja Dove as a nose. I love his legacy. His line is very opulent, very expensive. I understand the price point. Not everybody agrees with the price point, and I think that there's nothing wrong with disagreeing with the price point, but I do understand where the price point comes from. But since I'm not adding too many of those fragrances to my collection, you're not going to see too many reviews because I only have so many bottles and I've already reviewed so many of these scents. I'm also trying to be mindful of not reviewing fragrances that are discontinued because I've done that before and then I realize some people might be excited and try and find it and not be able to find it. And it's just, I prefer to be a little bit more mindful with those reviews because of the price point, because some of them are discontinued, because I add them slower to my collection. And it's just not a brand that you will see completely dominating my channel, but it is a brand that I still really love and enjoy. I'm hopefully going to add another bottle or two to my collection by the end of the year. I'm just figuring out which ones of those I'm going to add, just like I'm adding at least a few more bottles from Royal Crown. Still figuring that out, but I do still love his fragrances. I just don't have enough experience with all of them or have worn all of them enough to be able to review the scent. So that's why you don't see that many of them, because I've already reviewed the ones that I was super excited to review for you guys, and now I'm just deciding which one I'm going to review now. Anyway guys, I'm going to end this video here. It's a very long video, but I did want to sit and chat with you because a lot of you guys were very you wanted to continue the conversation of transparency, conflicts of interest, and just being a I can't remember the word. It's one of those words that forgets. Thanks, brain. I don't know. I can't come up with a word. Anyway, trustworthy? Was that the word? And the importance of being open and honest and transparent with people. It creates trust. It creates respect. It builds a foundation. And I don't think that there's anything to be scared of getting things for free. I think that when you're honest and upfront in the very beginning, even if it seems like you might have very deep conflicts of interest or very deep hands in free stuff, sacks, I'm sorry. I think if people know and understand the dynamic, I think people will appreciate it more and you'll be a better reviewer for it, and you'll probably, again, be more profitable if money and engagement and views is what you're looking for. People are okay with free stuff. People are okay with being sold things. Not everybody, but people understand it because, again, like when you walk into a fragrance counter, there's a sales associate there. They just need to know what they're walking into. Are they walking into a friend telling them about a favorite fragrance? Are they walking into somebody who was given something for free that genuinely enjoys it? And I think if you genuinely enjoy something, whether or not you were given it for free, people will be able to tell that you're being genuine. And I don't think that they'll care that it was given to them for free or given to you for free. It's just about being honest, upfront, enthusiastic, and transparent. Generally, there's nothing wrong with transparency. And as long as everyone's transparent, I think this community can grow and flourish and be a fantastic tool for people to learn and experience new things. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking because words are not coming to my head and I'm just saying things. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any additional questions or comments or commentary or critique, if you agree with what I said or disagree with what I said, if you think I overstepped my bounds, I should stay in my lane, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you next time. Bye.